Welcome back to People Person, the show where we talk about the human side of work with humans who are good at making it all work. I'm your host, Kate from HR, your favorite workplace therapist, and of course, professional boundary enforcer. Now, today, we're tackling one of the most romanticized but misunderstood topics in corporate life, work-life balance. You know that thing everyone puts in job descriptions, but somehow no one ever seems to have time for. And joining me is our career bestie, Sam DeMase, career coach, writer, and career expert at ZipRecruiter. She's a former HR exec and current advocate for reclaiming your time and energy at work. We're diving into what balance really looks like in today's world, how HR teams can protect their own peace while leading culture change, and why boundaries aren't just a self-care buzzword, child, they're a leadership skill. So grab your coffee, silence your Slacks, and take a deep breath. This is the self-check-in episode you didn't know you needed. But first, people of the world, listen to me when I say this. I'll even hold your hand. Letting those HR tasks pile up on the back burner is going to cause a fire. Look, I get it. I've been there. You want to be out with your people, being the rock star that you are, but there's just so much to manage. Luckily, Equifax can help. They can handle everything from making sure your I-9s are a breeze to handling those tricky ACA requirements. Plus, they handle every step of the employee journey, and I mean every step. That's from onboarding to offboarding and the steps in between with integrated tools to manage HR in complex organizations. Simplify processes, it just takes a lot of anxiety off of your plates. I'm glad we had this talk. Now head on over to Equifax.com/HRBrew today. That's Equifax.com/HRBrew. Oh, Sam, I am so glad you're here. You've built a whole career around helping people with their career, work-life boundaries, growing their career progressions overall, and also protecting their energy and setting better boundaries. So before we get tactical, how are you defining balance right now? Because what I may think it is going to be completely different than how you see it, and I'm assuming those who are listening or watching would be interested to know.
Absolutely. Great to see you, Kate.
Always.
I would say work-life balance, like you said, means something different to everyone. Mm-hmm. For me, it means I'm happy in my life and I'm happy in my work. It's finding joy in both and not being overwhelmed by one or the other. What about you? What does it mean for you?
I don't know. I feel like that's why we're having this episode, because I need to explore that for real. Balance. It's such a term that I'm trying to figure out, because I know some folks will feel like, okay, everything needs to get the same level of percentage of effort. Mm-hmm. But I'm finding that's not in fact the case right now. But I like the definition where it's not about how much you're putting in, but it's the result. It's are you happy?
Absolutely.
With how things are?
Yes. I think it's unrealistic to think that work-life balance is always going to be 50-50. That is never going to happen, because there are aspects of life where life takes over.
Right.
There are aspects of work where work is priority in certain times, in certain sprints. So I think there's flexibility there. It's about, can you find joy? Can you find balance in both? And if you're not finding that, we need to address it and make a plan.
I love that. And so when you think about work-life balance, I feel like people tend to think of oh, I'm not working, or time off. Do you think it's strictly time off when it comes to work-life balance, or there's more to it?
Definitely not. It's not just about the time off. Time off is one aspect of work-life balance, but there's plenty of other aspects. It's not just taking time off to take time off. I also think, are you balancing your hobbies, your personal interests, things that fuel you outside of work? Mm-hmm. Those things are what really add balance to the phrase work-life balance.
I love that. And the reason why I'm happy to talk to you about it, because as HR people, we tend to think about it for others. It's the easiest thing to say, okay, America, AKA the company, America, this is what you need to do. How can we support work-life balance? But HR people, we don't tend to have the conversations for ourselves. Do you think that's important? Because technically speaking, we are what some may feel like a serving department, or one that's centralized in the way where we're here for the people, or there's something of value to be seen with HR doing a version of that for themselves?
I think HR needs to set the example. I think organizations where HR is not setting an example, the work-life balance is going to be non-existent pretty much. Because I think HR sets the tone, and HR should also be honestly educating leadership across teams on how to set the great example for work-life balance for their teams. So it trickles down, it cascades down, if you will.
Okay. But one step back. How, as an HR person, could I do that, though? Like, I could imagine people like, there's just too much to do. Like, there's a million things going on. And I do agree with signaling. I think that's probably the most impactful way for an organization to realize something is important and then doing it by the example that you're seeing. But how, as an HR person, could I do that? Because I could imagine where it's just like, actually, it's too much to do right now. I don't have the time for it.
Totally. It can be really challenging, but I think you have to make the time to prioritize it. And I think one easy way HR can do it is just with a little bit of authenticity and a little bit of transparency and communication. So when I was leading a team, I tried to go off the philosophy of authenticity, transparency. If I'm setting a boundary, I'm explaining to my team why. If I'm leaving for an appointment, I'm being honest. I'm being radically honest about it. Like, I think it's really just about being real and honest and communicating. The HR leaders who go silent and don't set boundaries, that instills a culture of fear. And that makes people think like, all right, well, if you're not doing it, that certainly means I can never take a moment to go do something else. Like, I need to be on 24/7.
Yeah.
So I really think just like modeling in the best way that you can and setting your hours and not sending an email at 7. Like, that sends, it's not just what you do, it's also what you don't do.
Yeah.
Don't send an email at 7 a.m. Don't send an email at 7 p.m. That sets a great example.
A schedule doesn't exist. Like in 2025, it's going to be okay if you just let that sit for 2 more seconds and send it during appropriate times. And I'm glad you said that, because I think also what people can be intimidated by in the HR space is like, the first time to do it may seem hard or like it's just too much effort. But I promise you, the more often that you give the opportunity to be an example, the easier it becomes. And people just assume like, okay, that's just how it is. Because I know for me, like, I'll be in a meeting like, hey, sorry, I got to grab my kid. So like, we can like do this. We could continue this conversation at a later time. And I think just hearing that line of like, hey, I got to grab my kid. Like, that's like something that signals to everyone like, oh, okay. Like,
yes,
we can mention things like that and no one looks at us crazy or anything like that.
That's beautiful. Like, I think that's exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to modeling is just being authentic and being real and just saying something as simple as like, yeah, I gotta go grab my kid. Like, I've had people on my teams who have kids and we normalized like bringing that up because it is always gonna take priority over work, and just letting your team know like, hey, life outside of work is important, more important than this. We're not solving world peace in this job. We are not saving lives unless you work at the hospital. Like, everything else is going to be more important than that. And just acknowledging that and saying like, yeah, let's bring up our stuff that we have going on. Let's talk about it as a team, can be really freeing and can really like set the tone for work-life balance. So even just you saying something like that in front of your team, though it feels small, it's a really big deal for them to hear that because it gives them permission to do what they need to do outside of work.
Yes.
So
yes.
I love that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm sure they love it too, because I ain't gonna stop talking about my kid. Love them.
Yes.
Love them. Mommy loves you. Okay. So you mentioned earlier though, like educating leadership, right? Going back to what we defined as like what work-life balance is and all that jazz. As an HR person, how do I educate leadership?
Yes, and this has to come from the top. You need leadership buy-in, of course. One thing that has really helped me in the past when it comes to leadership education has been the phrase outcomes over hours. And what I mean by that is we have sometimes leadership who they get really attached to like monitoring their team's hours. Like, are you clocked in? Is your mouse moving? That is not where impact comes from, right? Like, so it's outcomes over hours. So if we can get all of leadership to buy into that, I think we can then go from there. So it's really about like, are you setting goals with your team? Are you clear about your expectations? Are you setting, very, very clear goals that your team can hit? Then in that case, let them do it how it works for them. It doesn't have to be on your schedule. Just because you work 9 to 6 doesn't mean they have to work 9 to 6 without a lunch. Let them be outcome oriented instead of hours focused, especially with Gen Z. Like, they do not do well with random statements.
Okay.
Yeah.
They want to know what the heck that means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
say it
return
with
to
your chest.
office.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
that
what?
Might be
For
a trigger
why?
word. That might be a trigger word for some people. Return to who?
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. And that makes a lot of sense. And actually, even thinking about like the workplace, do you think there's a different set of rules for those who are in person versus hybrid versus remote, or work life should be the same definition all across?
Consistency. We
Okay.
need consistency because then people start to feel like, oh, it's favoritism. I don't work in the office or I work remote and I get these perks. As much as it can be consistent and leadership can be consistent with, what they're saying, I think the consistency is really key across.
Okay. So as an HR person, if I'm creating policies, putting protocols into place, it's not to say like if one group of people are home, whatever percentage amount of time during the week, it's like this applies to everyone, or it should.
It should.
Okay.
And, to your point, like how can we educate leadership? Have a clear policy, like have a written policy. Like I think a lot of HR teams don't have a written policy.
We're scared, Sam. It's because we're scared.
You're scared.
Because look, once you put words to paper, that is it. Like it is the
Fair.
gospel truth. And
Facts.
when it comes to like workplace environments, like we're figuring it all out, tossing a little AI just to put a little razzle dazzle, you know what I'm saying? And we're all trying to figure it all out. And it's like, I think when you speak to it, it allows more flexibility, right? Speaking of work-life balance, you have flexibility to figure out as it goes. But once you put it on paper, you create policy about it, baby girl, they're going to take out that highlighter and say, but excuse me, line 3, you said X, Y, and Z. And so that's why they're scared. And so are you saying we shouldn't be scared? And there's a confidence we can have about it? And if so, like what would give us that confidence to do it that you could think?
I hear your point. I actually think it's scarier to have nothing on paper because then people can make up their own rules, do their own thing, and say, well, there was nothing in the handbook.
You know what? Yeah.
So I do feel like having something in place is powerful. And I think it draws employees in when you have an interesting, clear policy on flex work, when you have a policy on mental health days off, when you have a policy around outcomes over hours. Like that is attractive for today's workforce. So I feel like instead of running from that, and I get the fear, I do get the fear. I think we need to have policies. Like the people are demanding it. The people want the policy. Now, is there going to be people who challenge the policy? Yes, but it'll open up some interesting dialogues.
Yeah.
But I think you have to have something on paper to start with.
Okay, fair enough. And so I'm putting it on paper. I'm sending it out digitally because we're saving trees. And so what do you think are the benefits, the protocols, the processes, the things that employees actually care about when it comes to implementing a work-life balance? Like, do you want an app? Do you want unlimited PTO? Like, what are the things, like, as an HR person, if I'm either introducing more work-life, like, strategy I should be mindful of to have in place, or...
I think if it works for the organization, flex work is number one. So not tying people to an office location, but
Mercy.
saying you can work from anywhere as long as you're getting your work done.
Okay.
So that is, I think, what people want right now.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason behind that, I think it's important for us to kind of zoom out and say, Gen Z sees work-life balance not as a perk, but as a fundamental right, right? They see it as like they saw their parents and their grandparents get burnt out, struggle, work their whole lives.
Yeah.
So now this flexibility, this balance, it's not just a nice to have, it's a must. So they're going to advocate for it regardless. They're going to push for it. So I think we need to get ahead of it and say, we know this is a core value for you. So here's how we're looking at it. Here's what we present. And you could also, like, if you're worried, get feedback from the team too. If you're like, hey, can you give us feedback on our flex policy? What do you all think about it?
Yeah.
That's another way to go. And I know that we don't want to open up a huge can of worms.
I know. Look, that can't... It's
yeah.
slightly ajar, but Loki, I also want to ask, like, how much should I care about that though? And I say this in the most humble, respectful way, because Gen Z is not the largest group right now in the workforce. Yep. It's technically millennials at this point, and the generation before that are now starting to make their exit out.
Yes.
And I don't think millennials are as like pioneering of a spirit to be like, we need this and we need this now type, feeling. And so with that being said, as an HR person, I hear the sentiment, and actually I do agree. It is progressive. It's better to be proactive than to be reactive. But I can see an HR person in any space could say, like, well, it's not a priority right now. And what would you say to that?
I think if it's not a priority, you need to rearrange your priorities because data shows that workers who have some sort of balance or have some sort of ability to explore their passions while they're working are going to do their best work. So I feel like it's worth an exploration at least. It's worth a conversation, at least maybe with your millennial team, asking them like, hey, how is the work-life balance for you recently? What could we be doing differently or better? And maybe it's not about doing better. Maybe it's about doing different. But I think a lot of people don't look to their teams for that guidance and look to just like implement a policy. And then the team feels like it's happening to them instead of for them.
Okay. And so you mentioned like a first step that HR people can do is like the flex work life. That could be a bit drastic for some people. It may not be applicable depending on industry. Some spaces you actually need to be in the room. Completely get it. But what would you say could be a low-hanging fruit, maybe an easier lift or a small feat that an HR team can start signaling like, hey, it's okay to unplug. This is not the craziest thing to experience if you balance your life out a little bit.
This is a great question. Let's start smaller, right?
Yeah.
Where it's instead of, we're jumping into like flex work, which is the ideal, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that can't work for everybody. But I think something small you can do is just have a discussion around expectations of hours. Because like, I think a lot of people, they jump into a job and they see their boss working maybe really long hours or different hours than they would want to be working. And they assume that they have to abide by that and adapt to that. So I think leadership, whether that's HR or the team leadership, needs to just communicate like, yeah, this is a 40-hour per week role. You can work 10 to 6, you can work 9 to 5. Like just those conversations are not being had the way they need to be. Just like be transparent about the working hours and lunch. Like as a leader, just tell your team, please take lunch, whether that's 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, like take lunch, tell your team you should be taking lunch every day. Like as a leader, I would always be checking in with my team and be like, hey, did you take your lunch today? Did you take a break? Like, do you want to go out? Do you want to chat? Like, I'm not trying to force you to spend time with me, but I am trying to force you to go outside.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes as leaders, we do have to follow up and we do have to be the ones to set that example. And I had no problem with that. I was always the leader who was going out to take a lunch or maybe go out and to take care of something with my dog. I'm telling them, I'm like, hey, this is exactly what I'm doing. This is when I'll be back. And I would send a calendar invite and be like, this is where I'm at. This is what's happening.
Oh, I like that, actually.
Yeah. And
so the visibility is there even silently, whereas like if someone's looking at your calendar, they're outside of your team even, and they're like, oh, wait, Sam's not available because she's walking said dog.
Correct. Hyper visibility, radical transparency. It has worked for me. I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think with millennials and Gen Z, they really appreciate that transparency because it tells them like, oh, Sam has a life outside work, so I'm allowed to have a life outside work.
Yeah.
The best team I ever had, like super high retention, super high results, hitting their goals, was the team where I was incredibly authentic and transparent about having a busy life outside of work and that I wanted them to have the same. So we had a lot of really interesting conversations.
Yeah.
We also talked about what was going on in the world because sometimes what was going on in the world was way more important than the spreadsheet that we had to do that day.
Talk about it.
So like that really opened up, that changed, I think, my team from perceiving me as a manager to perceiving me as a leader. So that was big for me.
That distinction is important because how would you describe a manager? And then how would you describe a leader?
Such a good question. Managers are task enforcers. Like I see managers as people who check boxes and like enforce tasks and delegate things. Leaders inspire, motivate, develop, and grow people. That's the difference.
Thank y'all for coming to this episode. That's all we needed for today. No, and you know what? As an HR person, you want to be the leader. I think like naturally people would assume like if you're in HR, you're going to be the manager of it, like do the tactical things. But the parts to make the change requires you to be a leader in that capacity. Yes. So that's actually, I live for that. I love that a lot. I was also going to ask you the question of like, what have you seen or heard as like the coolest thing you probably heard that supports work-life balance? Like I've been at companies, not saying it's my own, where we'll have like week off. Granted, time off is not always the work-life balance, but like having flexible hours, leaving at the discretion of your manager, having unlimited PTO. By that definition, we got to understand what that actually is. Or having benefits to support different facets of people's life, whether they're just starting or they're looking to start a family or they're taking care of aging parents or whoever. But yeah, I was just curious to know if you've had any like exposure to seeing like other places that are doing really dope stuff and they apply it to their employees.
This is such a great question. And I think like, because work-life balance means something different to everybody. Yeah. Like you said, like some people really want childcare benefit. Some people really want really good parental leave benefit. Some people want, mental health days. Something that I've seen that like benefited everybody was a company that was doing mental health days. Like you must take 2 mental health days a month.
A month?
2 mental health days off.
Ooh. Okay.
And I thought that was really cool because, and also like leadership was doing it. Like leadership was setting the example and doing it and taking their days off. So it's like, I'm taking my mental health day today. It's a Friday. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Just like empowering people to take a day. It's kind of like the whole thing of people want to get paid over having a pizza party. It's like, compensate me. Like instead of throwing me a pizza party or a ping pong, team event.
Give me my
like,
coin.
Pay me. I think when it comes to balance, the proof is in the pudding, right? It's like time off. Time off matters more than like putting in a policy that's like, oh yeah, like flex work is really key. But like, let's give the time off. Let's be real. Let's say like, all right, instead of unlimited PTO, which people don't typically take, give people 4 or 5 weeks of time off. Give your people time off. Like they'll come back refreshed. They'll come back better. I think we're doing a little bit better these days, but not as good as we could with giving people like a dedicated amount of time off.
Yeah. Would you think 4 to 5 is like that sweet spot?
I think 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
What do you think?
Don't ask me because I'm like, come to work. No, honestly, I think 4.
You think 4?
Not because my birthday is the 4th of any month. That's really important. But like, I think 4 is good. I think 4 can be seen as generous still.
Yep.
I do think that companies, if you have unlimited, you should have minimums if you feel like people are not taking the time.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where people get tripped up. They're like, okay, it's unlimited, but like, how much for real? Or even 4 or 5, because that's not a number that most people will come across at a company. But like, it's 4, but like, what's the minimum I have to take? Because people can have that 4 sit until kingdom comes. And
that's right. And as a leader, we also need to be reminding our teams to take those days.
Yeah.
Like I had somebody who wasn't taking their time. And I was like, you need to take time off. I don't have anything to do. I'm like, hang out at home.
well, let's unpack that first
Relax.
of all. Let's unpack why you feel you have nothing to do.
Can't relate.
We'll never. And may we never. May we never relate, Sam.
I know you and I won't. We got plenty to do.
Too much to do. That's why we need them 4 to 5 weeks, okay? Yeah. But honestly, I think you're totally right. And it's funny because another thing that I used to do, and I tell every HR person, audit. Y'all love to audit bad. Y'all love a spreadsheet. Yes. Audit the people and how much time they take off, and then create a protocol. If it's like within 3 to 6 months, 0 time has been taken, call them into your office. Hey, notice you haven't taken a single damn day off. What's up? And it works. It
like, is
does.
HR tracking that? Like, is that something that HR looks at? Like, are people taking their time off? Like, are people?
I mean, I don't know many people who do, but I know an HR team who does, and that HR team happens to have a show. People person. No, but seriously, we do. We genuinely do. And that's also part of our onboarding where we'll tell employees like, hey, we create these things because we care about you because you are no use to us dead. So if you can help us with recruitment fees with not having to backfill you and enjoying your time here, that would be fab. And so that's something that we do. We do it every quarter.
I love it.
And then we'll let the manager know because we believe like HR doesn't have to jump in immediately. Like, hey, just notice that like some of these folks have not taken time or just a heads up. But if we're noticing 9 months in, like a lot could happen in 9 months.
And just communicating to the team that you guys have that policy.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, that's amazing. Like, I feel like people aren't talking about that enough.
Not enough.
And with leadership education, too, which I know we were talking about before, I think it's just about, like, HR giving people leadership training. 101. Just 101. Just how to talk to people. Like, a lot of managers got to where they are, not necessarily by having great people skills or great empathy.
True.
They just sort of have the technical skills of the job, so they moved up. So some of the people who are leading teams right now are not equipped to have conversations with their teams about balance.
Very true.
So their team is like terrified to go to them. So even though you, Kate, as HR, you set an amazing example, you have these great policies in place that back it up. If your leadership of your teams, if they're not able to have those conversations with their teams, those teams are frustrated. And then they're going to go around them and go to you. Like I've had people in the past go around their leadership and come to me and say, my leader doesn't know how to talk to me about this.
Oh, wow.
My leader is doing a really bad job
Yeah.
setting their own work-life balance boundaries. What the heck do I do about that?
Yeah. I mean, great job security for us, but like also like we don't want to have to be used in that capacity. So I completely get that too. Like do the things because it makes it easier on the back end for everybody. So real. Okay, cool. So balancing things out, we got a little heavy with that conversation. So let's balance it on out with a little game. You know, I like to have a good time.
Oh, I love a game.
So we're gonna read some pretend out of office messages. Funny enough, that's actually another cool way that you can like let the people know like the vibe of the company based on your out of office message. No, for real.
Yes.
Whether it's in your email or through your Slack. I'm pretty ridiculous. I don't know if you could tell. Like I give a lot of ridiculous energy, but thank God they keep employing me here. But with that energy, I'm just saying something funny. Like I have no idea what's happening, so don't email me. Find someone else to do it. Like that kind of vibe. But anyway, we have a few examples here of those messages, and I would like for you to rate 1 through 10 based on how well it exemplifies work-life balance, like vibes and all that energy.
I'm an expert. I'm ready.
Why do you think you're in this chair, child? Okay. First up, we have, I'm technically out, but I'll be checking emails hourly. 1 through,
May I give it a 0?
I mean, it wasn't a number, but heck, if it applies.
When you're out, you're not checking emails. That sets a really bad example. 0.
We got a tough crowd, y'all. Don't send that. Don't put that in the out of office email. Okay, that's a 0. The next one I'm hoping is more than 0. Okay. I'm offline unless something's on fire. And if it is, I hope you have insurance.
Ugh. I feel like that's passive aggressive. I'm going to give that a 4.
Ooh. No, how is that passive and aggressive?
Read it again.
Okay. Let me put my Mother Goose voice on. Hold on. One day I'll be a serious person, but not today. Okay. I'm offline unless something's on fire. And if it is, I hope you have insurance.
I think you should prepare your team to take on fires without you. I think they should have like the confidence and the empowerment and the go ahead from you to tackle that. I think it's weak leadership to be like, I hope you have insurance, or like, I'm here in case if there's a fire, call me. When I'm out, I don't want the team to call me if there's a fire. They can handle it. So I'm sticking with a 4 for that.
You stick with the 4? Okay, friend, I might have to give it a different number.
What do you give it?
It's giving 6.
Okay, so we're not that far off.
We're in the range. You know, we're middle range with that, because the only reason why I would give it a 6 is because I'm saying I hope you have insurance. What I took from that is that like, I hope y'all got it because it still ain't me. That's how I took that. I hope you have insurance. It's like, okay, something goes awry. That is not my business still. We will deal with the ashes from when I come back.
Yeah.
But it's on you. That's how I took it. It feels a lot though for an out of office message, hence the 6.
Yeah.
But that's a me thing.
I think somewhere between 4 and 6 is right.
You know what? Some might say 5.
Some could say 5.
Okay. We got 2 more. I'm out of office until Monday. I'll respond when I return. Not sooner, not spiritually.
I like that. That's very clear. It's super honest. It's super direct, and it has some like personality to it and some edge. I'm gonna give that a 7.
A set? Okay. You like that not spiritually part, didn't you?
They kind of do like that. Yeah,
they ate that. They did. I'll give a 7 with that too. I'm aligned with that as well. Okay. So you had so much to say. So what would your out of office message be? If you were the one living your best life, gallivanting across the globe, what would yours say if I were to email you?
Honestly, like mine would probably say something like,
oh God, the laugh before the message is crazy work. But let me hear it.
Mine would say, and I've used something like this in the past. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was basically like, from October 3rd to November 17th, I do not exist. I love you, but I do not exist. I will see you on the 17th. Like, it literally something like that. Like, I'm a ghost.
I live for that. It's very much, let me hold your hand.
Yeah,
I'm not here.
Yeah. I love you, but during these days, I do not exist. I set a strong boundary. Like, my out of office is a very strong boundary. And it's telling you that I'm not here, but I empower you to do great things while I'm not here.
I feel like I just got life coached with this like out of office message.
Yes, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be like, yes, from these dates, from this day to this day.
Yeah.
I do not really exist on a spiritual plane or on the the realm, but I am existing, just not for this. And I empower you to make great choices.
I love that. I am existing, but not for this.
Yes.
I am more.
Yes.
No, I live for that. No, I love. Look, email me soon. I might have that message for you waiting.
I think another good one is to just say like, thank you so much for your email. And then say like exactly what you're doing. So like I've done this too. Like, thank you so much for your email. I am vacationing in Prague right now, enjoying the sights, eating. I'm vacationing, eating. spilling the tea and, getting my culture on. So thank you so much. I will get back to you on X date. Like, just be real. Like, tell people what you're doing. Maybe you're with your kids. Like, be honest.
Yeah.
Again, radical honesty. Like, I like that over, something that's fake.
No, I'm with that too. I like ones that have a little humor, obviously. So I like to cackle at seeing like people's out of office message. I think the funniest one I've seen is, it makes more sense when you see it. But you know how the phrase like, please don't hesitate to reach out? I've seen one that says, please don't, period, hesitate to reach out.
Hesitate to reach out. I love that.
When I fell out, I was like, oh my, that is good. That was real good.
Do hesitate.
Please, forever hesitate.
I like that a lot.
Right? I was like, no, that is gold. But honestly, these were good. You clearly know what you're talking about because you had the messages lined up.
Try.
Tough critic, but as you can see, Sam has the right idea where it's like, look, if you're going to put the out of office message out, put it out because you need to have a boundary. And the boundary matters because you are signaling to everyone else that work-life balance matters. And you're showing and educating your leadership as well on how to do it correctly and organically, so people don't think it's performative and they can believe in themselves to take time off as well. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us today. And if you figured out the trick to the elusive work-life balance, please let us know. You can get in touch with us by emailing your girl at peopleperson@morningbrew.com. And we'll see you next time.